Hi everyone, and thank you for tuning into this video. I know it's been pretty much forever since my last one, so I'm really sorry about that. There's been quite a few things that have been going on in my life, and I hope to give you a little bit of an update as well as shed some light on still the struggles that I go through and to maybe reconnect that way. Hopefully my videos will continue to help and inspire you, and so yeah, let's go from there. So for those of you who don't know my story, just a few details is I was diagnosed with MS about 10 years ago. And since that diagnosis, I've sort of lost a whole bunch of things in my life that have led to the losing of my independence, and it's been super, super hard, and gaining it back has been even harder, but has definitely been the most, I guess the best decision that I've made is to fight and to kind of like snap out of that rut that I was in. And I went through this whole time of my darkest days, and I'm in a wheelchair, as you can probably notice, and from there I just lost my independence. I lost my ability to play sports. I was always an active person. I lost my ability to drive. I lost my ability to work. And so when you lose all of those fundamental things in your life, you pretty much lose all of your independence and your confidence. But when I decided to really change my mindset, and I really noticed that there are definitely, I guess one of my favorite quotes that I've always kind of gone by ever since that day is that there's always someone who would love to have your bad days. And that is 120% true. And from then on, I said, okay, how can I be happy again? And when I asked myself that question, it was all about gaining back the ability to do things that once made me happy. So when I lost the ability to play tennis, it was absolutely crushing. I met my husband through tennis. My family played tennis. I had family and friends from tennis. I was there on the court all the time. And so when I just had to watch everybody play, it was hard. And then when I decided I was going to play wheelchair tennis in 5 years if I couldn't play able-bodied tennis, and that fifth year came and I really found a way to play wheelchair tennis, that was the marking of when my entire life absolutely changed, and it just showed sort of the power of sport. And you may have listened to one of my previous videos that discussed that, but I just want to emphasize how important that was. So if you are an active person, you're a person who was once involved in sports, there are so many adaptive sports that you can play, and you don't have to be a daily wheelchair user to play them. There are people that even just have something wrong with their knee, and they're able to play. So please don't ever think that you can't be an athlete again. It's most definitely one of the best decisions I ever made. So gaining back the ability to play sport was huge. And then after that, I just kept going, and I just kept thinking, okay, what else would make me happy? And for sure it was, how can I gain back the ability to drive? And when I lost that ability to drive, that's when my independence really went downhill, because when you have to ask people for everything, like going to get your nails done or your hair done or going to a friend's house, it is demoralizing in ways, and it was just not fun, and definitely never will be again if that ever gets to that point where I can't drive for another purpose. But I am happy to announce that I got my license back through using hand controls. I got a vehicle that is now equipped with the lift in the back, so I can luckily still take a few steps that I can get from the back of the vehicle to the front, and I can still stand a little bit even though it's very fatiguing. But if you can't, you can still get vehicles, although they're expensive, you can still get vehicles that you can roll into, so that's a positive there. And then, so once I got the ability to drive again, I thought, okay, wow, I can do so many things. I could go to the mall, I could go to the grocery store, I could pretty much go anywhere that was wheelchair accessible. And so I really got confidence back in my mobility, even though it wasn't through walking. It was when I finally realized, like, you are so silly not to use a wheelchair, because right now to not go places and to not do things simply because you don't want to be in a wheelchair is just absolutely ridiculous. So once I got over that, I started to really have major kind of moments where I thought, what else can I do? Like, I don't want to stop there. And so I'm also happy to announce that in September, I regained my ability to work again, and I re-entered the workforce as the sales and marketing director at Niagara Academy of Tennis. And that is just huge for me, because first of all, it was a place where my husband first came to Canada. He was recruited by the academy to come and to play tennis and to learn English. And so number one, it's kind of cool that he used to work there. He actually went to school there. He used to work there. Now he's working in a different industry, and I'm working there. But it's also pretty nice because I get to play tennis sometimes during the day and on my lunch. And not only did I enter the workforce, but I always said to myself, if I'm going to re-enter the workforce after 5 years, it's going to be for something I love. And to be able to do so in an industry, my preferred industry, the industry of choice, I have a degree in sport management, so it's just, and I have experience in sales, so it just seemed to be a natural fit, and I'm very thankful for that opportunity. But, you know, this is all sort of all about the positivity and what went well in my life. But if I'm honest, like, there's been some times that, including kind of lately, that have not been all that great. And I think one of the things that's not discussed a whole lot with MS is just how debilitating the depression can be once it hits. And although I was never really diagnosed with being clinically depressed, I think maybe it's because I never asked enough to be clinically depressed, because I just always felt that when I went to therapy, it was a matter of them asking, why, like, you know, what brings you in? And then I would say, well, I'm here because I have MS and I can't walk. Well, then they say, what do you think would make you feel better? Or how do you think that this would be better? Well, it would be better if I didn't have MS. So it was always revolved around MS. And I think for a lot of us, that is the key, is that there are some people that don't know why they're depressed. Like, they just don't have any particular reason, but they just, it's just as debilitating. For us, we know, if my life didn't just, you know, flip upside down right before my eyes, or if I just could just magically regain the ability to walk, or if I just could magically not feel nerve pain like I do from my torso all the way around my back to my toes in such a devastating way, I probably wouldn't be depressed. No, if I could get back everything I lost, I probably wouldn't be depressed. If I could just stop, you know, the grieving process, I probably wouldn't be depressed. And so that is what makes our situation a little bit different, is that we are depressed and we know why, and we can't change some of it. And I know the first part of what I talked about is what you can change, but I know that it is hard, and I go through times where I just feel like, what is wrong with me? Like, hormonally, definitely around the time of my period, which is coming up, that's a really tough one for me. Or if, you know, the weather is dark and gloomy as it is today, you know, that's not good either for my depression. And I also find, for me, I have to keep busy. So if there's kind of been an exciting event in my life and then there's a lull, that is really difficult, because I use the busyness of work, of tennis, you know, I'm competing internationally and nationally and all these great things. And I always look forward to those things. And then as soon as I don't have them anymore, that's when I feel the depression really hits. Because why? For me, I think it's because it gives me time to think about what's gone wrong in my life. As much as we want to think about what's gone right, and we want to be positive and we want to be grateful, and don't get me wrong, a lot of the times we are, it doesn't mean that we don't have the right to have moments of being down. And just because we have moments of being down doesn't mean we're not grateful. Like, it goes both ways. And I think that that don't be mad at yourself for feeling that way, because there are always going to be times when we feel a little blue, or we feel like, okay, this has gone on a lot longer than normal. Like, I've had times where it's gone on for a month or longer, and I'm proud of myself for what I've overcome and what I'm doing now, and my ability to do so much more than I used to do. So it frustrates me when I can't just snap out of it. And I guess that's one of the most debilitating parts about depression, whether we know the reason or we don't know the reason, is that it's just not something that you can always snap out of. But one thing for sure that always helps me when I'm going through these times is just getting out of the house, because now that I can, and just realizing, wow, like a year or 2 years ago I wasn't able to do this. Or going out and making myself find a time to play tennis, or making myself find a time to go meet up with friends at a restaurant, or go for a glass of wine, or whatever the case may be, because there were times when we couldn't do these things. So I think what I'm trying to say is, when you're feeling down, first of all, don't blame yourself. Number one, never blame yourself for that. But number two, it's important to have a plan of action of how you can overcome it. So don't just let it go on and go on and go on and be like, well, whenever it ends, it ends. I do understand that you can't snap out of it, but I do strongly feel that we are in control of our destiny. That it's not just something that's going to happen for us. It's something, our happiness happens because we've made it happen. And that's one of the most empowering moments. So figure out, why you may be feeling a little bit more depressed than usual, and then create a plan of action. Like, I'm going to go to see this person today, and I'm going to go here tomorrow, and I'm going to do this thing on the weekend, and I'm looking forward to that, and sort of have a plan of action of events that you can maybe force yourself to do. And I understand that there's some people that can't even do that, but maybe there's little things that you can do, like getting a great new book, or just something that excites you, because everybody reacts to depression differently. But if you're anybody like me, I for sure need to be busy. So if I'm not busy, I have to make myself busy. So that's all I wanted to say for now. I really just wanted to get back in touch with everybody. And please, I'm always looking for new topics to talk about. So if there's something that's really weighing on your mind, or something that's bothering you, or something that's a major hurdle for you in your MS, please leave a comment below, and I will get to that as soon as possible. Thanks guys for listening, and have a great rest of your day. Ciao!